Hey, everybody. Welcome to the VAU Mic Check. Yes, it is me. I am not doing my Donald Trump today. Well, maybe. Who knows? I might.
We'll see if we need to break your pattern or anything.
I mean, it's wonderful. It's fantastic. Okay, I was wrong. I did do it. So
If you do it, sure it'll be huge.
it will be huge, wonderful, fantastic. Yeah.
China.
Okay. Let's get back on track. Let's at least get the introduction over with, shall we?
Today we have a car commercial. Okay, it's commercial copy. And I'm staying with that thing we've been doing for the last few weeks. This has been the month of breaking your pattern. You know, getting out of
the month.
Yeah, it has actually been this last month.
Oh, I thought it was the month of storytelling.
In a way, it has been.
Well, either way, they both work.
It kind of connects both ways because the thing of it is, and, you know, I hear this every day being in television. I know Shane hears it being in radio, is you catch that pattern. You catch this thing where, like, there's this cadence and rhythm. And if you do promo work and commercial work a lot, sometimes you can fall into a rut. And it's good to break out of that and keep things fresh. Because, well, if you don't, you know, it kind of makes the listener's ear kind of shy away from what you're doing. And at the same time, it doesn't help where you want to go. So, I mean, on this spot right here, and I kind of gave this a read through yesterday when I found it. And what this spot entails is you're telling a story. You're talking about the car specifically, but I would say what the spec would say, and as we all know, the spec usually says not salesy, not announcery, warm, friendly. And in this case, I'm thinking along the lines of one of those smoother performances. I mean, kind of Chris Pine, Maurice LaMarche, that sort of performance. You know, that's the sort of thing that they're asking for with something like this.
And before we get too far into this, please leave us in the comments below what you think was the best performance of the day and why, just so we have a good idea of it. But anyway, for the new people who haven't been on before or who are very recent, after everybody's performance, we do open up to thoughts and comments about the performance. That is open forum. Anybody can respond. Feel free. You are totally welcome.
And who wants to take this one first?
I guess I'll go. I'll do it. I'll step up to the plate.
All right.
All right.
All right. Just go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it.
Do I read the first line, the one, or is that the title?
That's the title.
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes the Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
All right. Opening it up. What did you all think?
Kind of fast on the pacing there, and kind of choppy, almost like a staccato-ish. If you're familiar with that musical term.
Yeah, I know that one.
On the smooth, it was a little bit syrupy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, here's a fun thing you'll come across, and I'm glad you actually did this, Nathan. When a casting director decides to choose specific well-known voices to reference, they're not actually looking for an impression of that voice. And here's a good example of it. If an ad company says we want, a celebrity read like, yada 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 blah blah blah, they've tried to hire those people. Like they've tried to hire those people. They couldn't. But what they're really looking for is a specific kind of delivery, not necessarily voice sound, but delivery.
Okay.
So what I believe what Nathan is really looking for is a smooth, refined delivery rather than a smooth, refined sounding delivery. Because the problem is and this is for anybody, and this has happened to me before, with early auditions. So this is from personal experience. When you try to mimic someone like these better known names, you lose all authenticity. Your storytelling goes out the window.
Right.
Your ability to deliver the script is no longer there because you're not being authentic. Now you're trying to be someone else. Just again, it's more about the delivery than the tone of voice.
Right. Yeah. So do you want to try it again, or do we skip to something?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Let me try that one more time. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
All right, opening it up. What did you all think of that one?
I noticed it changed up a little bit when you got to the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You went up just a little bit more in volume than you did actually in punch.
This also is one of those where you may want to make the executive decision to put in a couple of pauses for dramatic effect here where they don't exist.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's just a matter of marking up the script and pre-reading if you have a shot. I mean, there may be times when you're walking in, blindly to a recording studio, and you may not know till 15 minutes before what you're doing. So, but yeah, this one is one of those that I think you could probably get away with pausing for dramatic effect.
Right. Okay.
Well, take it away.
Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, one more time. One more time.
So that's another thing I should have explained as well. We'll actually focus on your performance for a little while.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be multiple reads that you'll do.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like, what the hell are you waiting?
We're waiting on you.
Okay.
We have a lot of regulars in here, so we're kind of used to that.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Let me try this one more time. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes the Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
Fun fact, on timing, you were just a hair over 30 seconds.
Okay.
But that's not really important to this right now.
Now, that's an adjusted in post. Squeeze up one of those pauses.
Yeah, that was very good on the putting in the pauses.
Okay.
Nice job that time.
Thank you.
See, the thing is it sounds like you're still going for you're still modulating your voice uncomfortably.
It felt a tiny bit William Shatner-ish.
William Shatner.
Yeah.
That wasn't what I was going for. Oh no.
Design is a new luxury.
Yeah, I guess it's just the type of script. Like, I'm not entirely comfortable with this kind of read. I've done like conversational stuff before, but I don't feel like this is this kind of suits that tone.
Hang on just a moment. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, does anybody else have any input before I give it one more shot?
Yeah, see, it doesn't really suit that tone. You know, you probably do less commercial, promotional type stuff, more on the what calls for an actor side.
Yeah.
Stuff, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, in a sense, commercial and promotional do take a little bit of that, character in there, especially when it says we need a Maurice LaMarche type, or we need that. I had one the other day that I did an audition for, and they were asking for Al Bundy meets Family Guy in personality.
Okay.
So
it's weird.
Yeah, I know, and I was like, I'm going over it with my wife, and she's like, well, why don't you do that one impression that you do, but then don't do the same voice pitch, just change the voice, but do that impression. And it was kind of like, got this clue how to create the character that was needed for the commercial spot. And the big thing is this is not like you're not voice matching, you're not doing an impression of, it's just that styling, and your head locks into, oh my God, they want Maurice LaMarche. I got to sound like Maurice LaMarche. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't, if they wanted Maurice LaMarche to sound, they would definitely contact his agency and he would be in there. You'd be standing next to him in the waiting room, waiting to go in for the audition, but in this case, it's just that same styling, that same tone, just giving it that kind of tone.
So what do you like? You said you felt like I'm modulating my voice more uncomfortably. What do you think I should like? Is there like a tip?
What it is you're trying too hard.
Okay.
And you just gotta kind of flow with the copy.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about a luxury car.
Right.
So use the keywords in the copy instead of using the spec is telling you this, and it's great. But there's keywords in the copy that are saying, okay, design, luxury, progressive car company. And then all of a sudden you get into functional, into emotional. So it's taking you into a place that is, just you're relaxing your way into it. And it's like, oh man, this car is just beautiful. This thing is like, it's like eating dark chocolate with whipped cream on top. It's a beautiful, it's just like you're pulling together all these things. Okay.
Right.
And so you're painting a very pretty picture for the listener. You want them to drool over this car, and that's what they're getting at. I mean, you think about you got words like powerful, beautiful, provocative.
Right.
And just so you just kind of your tone goes with that.
Okay. I'm trying to think, like. Because I know my like normal speaking voice doesn't really. I feel like it needs to be a deeper voice, though.
Well,
it doesn't
actually,
have to. It doesn't have to.
Okay.
Okay. You want me to try it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just try it without doing any.
Just your regular speaking voice.
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
Okay. Yeah, this one's definitely outside your comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot.
You see, okay. So what we're trying to get at is behind every script is an underlying story.
Okay.
And it's not always readily apparent.
Right.
The script has to be, and we only have so long to do this, and only so long ahead of time that we give the script,
Right.
which is why we understand that it's a little bit more difficult to parse out the story. But there's value to cold reading and to coming up with it together, which is what which is why we've been recording these, because we all there's always something that we get from it. There always ends up being some kind of theme from these. Well, let's see. When it comes to the storyline itself, it's basically what you're asking is what are they really saying? What's tying? Why am I going from design is the new luxury to the infinity? Why are we talking about design versus luxury when talking about a car brand? Well, I mean, the link seems obvious, but what I'm really asking is, how is the script linking these two things?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you really need to pay attention to. How is the script linking your introduction to the product? That's what you really need to try to focus on. That's what you need to parse out of the script and try to find. I mean, from here, from what I'm reading from the script, it's basically essentially that infinity makes the emotional the physical. It makes the intangible real in some sense, in its design, in its feel, in its look. So that comes with a certain tone, and I think that's more of it's more serious a tone, but not necessarily
deeper,
an overperformed announcery tone. That does have its place, but it's a very specific place.
Right. Okay.
What am I trying to say specifically? Here I am, a voice actor, and I don't even know what I want to say. Well, the thing is it's when it comes to scripts like these, you really do need to take just a little bit extra time beforehand. When you have the opportunity to. I realize you didn't have it here. I don't blame you for it at all. But it does take some time beforehand to read it and really parse out, what is the script trying to say? How am I going from point A to point B to point C?
Right. Okay.
And right now, that's sort of disjointed in the performance.
It's not there.
Yeah, so what's going on is at the beginning, they're introducing the concept. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. Those two ideas are linked. That's the introduction.
Okay.
So then what we're doing is then for almost the rest of the script, you're transitioning into exactly how design is the new luxury. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. This is all that transition from the first introduction, design is the new luxury, it's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world, down to at Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do here is you're setting up the idea at the very beginning. You're explaining why that idea was introduced and how that relates to the product throughout the body. And then in the end, you wrap it all up.
Okay. You want me to give it one more shot?
One more go.
Yes.
Okay. Let's try this one more time. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
All right, what did y'all think of that one?
He sounded more relaxed.
Yeah, better, more relaxed, and I think last week, Michael, you referenced the fact that we kind of went into what the term I think in the construction industry is analysis paralysis. We had so many different takes on what the story that the script was trying to tell, that we kind of ended up paralyzing ourselves. But here, I'm kind of thinking, it's a luxury car, but it's almost like it's being sold based on the way it's built instead of the features that typically, a luxury car script would be trying to sell you: the leather seats and the, all the other bells and whistles. So I'm almost wondering if you go for, you start with the design as the new luxury, and then maybe you give it just a little hint of, like you were selling a Ford truck instead of an Infiniti, kind of like that Dennis Leary-ish attitude in your performance.
Well, Infiniti is more of like a middling brand. It's not quite your standard production car, but it's not necessarily a full-on luxury car. I mean, what they're trying to sell here is that it's actually the feel of driving the car that's what makes us more of a luxury brand than anything else.
Yeah,
that is true.
And specifically, underneath the hood, they mentioned specifically the 340 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
Infiniti is the generic Lexus.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, it's their great value brand. I apologize, Walmart.
Yes, great value is a trademark of Walmart. Just so we get that out of the way. But anyway, we're in no way endorsed by Walmart.
No.
But yeah, do you feel comfortable? Would you like to move on? Would you like to hear other performances?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like going first gave me like, I didn't have anything to go off of, so.
Well, I mean, somebody
Usually,
has to go first.
Yeah.
Hey, in an average audition, especially doing this from home the way most of us do,
Mm-hmm.
you have nothing to go by outside of what they put in the spec.
Right.
So really, I mean, this is about as realistic as you can get with a practice session.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh wow, look, I'm taking this way from scratch, which I've occasionally gotten those where it's like I will get an audition in an email and it will come in like the day before they want it in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I want to do this. I definitely want to do this, So it's like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to be fresh and I'm going to just hit this thing. It's like, I only got like 30 minutes to just really go over the copy.
Yeah, you definitely want to give yourself a bit more time than that.
Yes,
but it's okay with everybody else. I would like to go next.
Okay.
All right.
If that's cool.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
I like the pauses.
That sounded good.
In a way, with Michael's natural gravel.
It worked. It was smooth and it worked.
From Infiniti.
I didn't catch any hiccups or hitches with that, really.
I liked the pauses. It was good pausing.
Well, I hate to admit this, but this is kind of my forte area, apparently.
Yeah. The man was wired for
You
commercial.
just have that tone.
Well, no, it was specifically cars. That is apparently the bulk majority of my work. I have a fake spot for oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot the name of the company. Well, anyway, it's a fake car spot on my demo, and for some reason that lands me the most car jobs. But why can't I remember the name of the brand? I feel like an idiot. Scion. That's it. That's it. Yeah, so throughout the script, it just there are these little points that it's trying to I'm trying to break this down, give a little bit of insight as to what's going on in my mind about this. The story points in here are obviously the more provocative words, such as progressive, functional to emotional, innovation, performance. Those are the things that require a little extra, push. I've noticed that subtlety can go a long way in emphasizing your point. So I think even without the gravel, which I wish there was a way I could, tone that out, but that's kind of built into the pipes. It could still work, just as long as you hit the emotional points, hit the story elements.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing is what happened was you gave it that smooth read, and your natural gravel just kind of undergirded it. It just kind of it helped it in a way. Yeah. Well, with the type of spot that it is, and really not necessarily the tone of the voice that would make it happen. I mean, you get somebody with a tenor pitch like mine, and I'm trying to remember the name of the actor who does these car commercials. All right. Design is the new luxury. Huh? Matthew McConaughey. That's it.
Yeah, actually, I think it's Lexus, the guy who does the Lexus commercials. He actually has a relatively even toned voice. Like, it's not too deep, it's not too high pitched. It doesn't really have a whole bunch of a whole ton of gravel to it.
No, that's Maurice LaMarche.
I don't think it's Maurice LaMarche.
It's not?
No, I'm pretty sure it isn't Maurice LaMarche.
Or is it John Hamm that does BMW? He does one of those luxury brands, I think. As in Don Draper from Mad Men.
Well, I mean, even some of these, some of the brands that I've seen, don't use the big bombastic, or not. I guess not big bombastic. It's not the right way to describe it, but the deep gravelly voices. I mean, not everybody can afford Mike Rowe, but you know what? His voice works for Ford.
Yeah.
But I don't think that his voice would be something good for a brand like Lexus, like Infiniti, like, I think what they're going for with Ford, it works perfectly, but it wouldn't work anywhere else. But like here, when it comes to, Infiniti, I don't think that it would require necessarily a voice like mine, just a delivery that hits all the story elements. Anyway, here we're going into the way too much information at once for people to digest. Would you like me to go again, or would you like to pass it on? Would somebody else like to go?
Run through a safety take, and then we'll go on, pass it on to someone else.
Safety take it is. I'm going to time myself just for fun. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. and it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At infinity, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infinity. Ooh, it was right on time.
Awesome. As my voice cracked when I said it.
But anyway, why don't we go ahead and pass it on to somebody else in the interest of time? So who would like to go next?
Actually, I think I'll take it.
All right, Nathan, whenever you're ready, go for it.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infinity the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infinity, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infinity.
All right.
Other than going a little fast on form follows function, I thought that was really, really good. That was a kind of a more conversational read than you normally get on these type of, but it worked. I mean, I thought it totally worked.
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Any opinions? Anything they noticed?
Thinking. Don't usually critique other people all that much.
Well, yeah, why don't you try and slow it down just a little bit?
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infinity the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infinity, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infinity.
Yeah, that sounds like a good take to me. I didn't hear anything that didn't hit any of the story points or anything like that. Anybody else? Anybody else hear anything in there that maybe didn't sound quite right to them, or that maybe they
It wasn't as sharp as yours. That's all.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by as sharp?
When you deliver a single line, it like has a reverberation at the end, where his doesn't. It gets like soft.
Okay.
He trails off a little bit.
Okay, I think I see what you
Don't know
mean.
if I'm describing that right or not.
No, but I think I see what you mean. I was a little bit more yeah, okay. I hear what you mean. It's just difficult to try to put it into words.
Yeah.
Such is the issue with voiceover. There is no agreed upon common terminology for anything.
Yeah. And this is something you would not do in an audition setting or any kind of voiceover setting, but in explaining how my mind went in the direction of what I was doing is I'm looking at in my head what goes on with the video that they're displaying, because more than likely this is a television spot, and they've got a camera and they've got that thing rigged to go over the contours of the car, and they're showing, all the angles and the, all that beauty and all of that stuff that I'm explaining and I'm describing, they're showing the viewer, So basically I'm going right along with that. I'm following the camera and I'm describing this thing, functional into emotional. And, where it's just like, you've got a light amount of background music that's almost classical music, and just it's this whole thing, and that's what I put into my head to bring out that delivery, And of course, I just try to stay as close to my own natural tone as possible, and instead of attempting to, which, like I said, the spec would say we want a Maurice LaMarche type, we want, a Matthew McConaughey, and I just kind of leaned a little bit more into my own personal warm and friendly guy next door thing.
One of my favorite pieces of advice that I was ever given when it comes to reading specs is that if you have received the audition, there's a reason for it. Even if they're asking for like a specific kind of read, if these auditions don't just get, if you're with if you're with an agency or whatever kind of opportunity provider that cares about what they're doing and has a reputation to maintain, then they don't just send out auditions willy-nilly. Like they have a reason for why they send their auditions to specific clients, to specific people. If you've received your audition, just perform it in your natural voice. Perform it as with your own brand, with your own sound. Perform it as you would interpret it, because again, you've received the audition for a reason. Somebody read this over and thought, "Hey, this would be good for Nathan." I like the way he does. I like the way he does certain takes. I like what I've heard from him. This would be good for him. So they would send it off to him. If you're, I think we have this idea nowadays with pay-to-play sites, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's a personal thing. Auditions go out willy-nilly. Like you're gonna get auditions for everything and anything, and they're going to come from left, right, and center, just all over the place, and it's up to you to sort of weed them out as to which ones you feel would fit with you the best, which ones you feel most comfortable with. But if you're with a very targeted source of opportunities, an agency, a studio that has decided to take you on, make you one of their talents and things like that, you're going to receive the auditions they feel you could land, because that's money for them, and that's their reputation on the line.
Exactly.
So when you hear we're looking for a specific kind of read, it might behoove you to just ignore that and do your own thing.
Yeah.
Don't go too crazy with it, but what I mean is don't go for that specific person, that specific sound. So, for example, the difference between my read and Nathan's read, I have a specific kind of voice and delivery for my, that I do, and Nathan has a very different sound to him. But again, you just got the example, 2 different reads, but focused on the story.
I see.
So yes, where my read was a little bit more quick on the turn, I guess you could say, where I would end off sentences quite abruptly almost. Nathan's was less so. It was more storytelling. It was more it was a softer delivery.
I get it. I guess I was just
No. Thank you for bringing that up, actually.
trying to cookie cut it.
Yeah, it's no worries. I mean, we always appreciate when anybody has, some input, because it'll help everybody in one way or another.
By the way, can we get your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler.
You say Tyler?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, good to meet you, Tyler. Thank you for your input.
All I could see was your phone number, so I just kind of put your name into the...
That's
Alrighty.
okay.
Got you covered there, Tyler.
All right. Well,
are you, since you're on your phone, are you able to get a piece of this copy?
Yeah, a friend of mine's also wanted to call, and she sent it to me.
Oh, okay. That would be Rochelle, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hi.
Hey, thank you for supporting us, Rochelle.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Alrighty then. I didn't hear anything that, stuck out to me for you to change, Nathan. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
But if anybody else, unless anybody else has a dissenting opinion, I think it'd be good to move on.
I believe you're right.
Alrighty then. Who is willing to go next?
I'll go next.
All right.
All right.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functionality. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
All right. Opening it up. What did you all think?
Well, through my phone, I heard distortion, so I'm not sure. But his delivery was all right.
Yeah.
It was really, really smooth.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like he followed suit with the direction that I was given earlier. So he just kept that pacing just right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was definitely some major distortion in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're connecting on, but yeah, it's definitely a pretty crackly sound.
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Other than the connectivity, it was good. I mean,
let me back away. Are you hearing distortion now?
No, it's much clearer now.
Okay. I'm further away from the mic. Let me try it again.
All right.
Okay.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
I feel like I just turned on my television.
Well, my only
powerful.
change, the only change I would suggest, there's two of them, and the other one might be from, I don't know, mishearing it, but I would say with what they're trying to go for, with the sound and the tone, you'd want to say 340.
Okay.
And definitely at the end,
I just always heard car. Yeah, when it comes to horsepower versus a car, especially in high performance cars, I've always like my first car was a '65 Mustang, and they always heard referred to as the 289.
Yeah, and while that would work with some brands, I think for what they're going for in this, they want it to sound a little bit more refined.
Okay.
Not that, obviously, it would depend on the client themselves.
Yeah.
But to me, that just kind of sticks out as a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless their target audience is people who are massively into muscle cars and performance.
Yeah.
But and then at the very end, I would say, and this is just a general rule, always end off on a down note. Now, again, that could have just been from the phone, from the distort, from I don't know what, but it sounded like you ended off more on an up note than on a down note.
Okay.
So to me, it just, from what I heard, again, I could not be hearing this properly, but it sounded like you said from Infiniti. Ending off on that up note rather than, ending off the idea from Infiniti.
So was that second read still distorted?
No, it wasn't. But it's just, I don't know, certain tones don't always come through quite well on the phone. Yeah. So, but that's just, again, I could be mishearing it, but why don't you go ahead, give us another take. Do everything you're doing normally except 340 horsepower and end off on a down note.
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
Yeah, that buttoned up better.
Yep. You hired. Congratulations. That was a really good take.
Why, thank you.
You might want to pursue car commercials.
Yeah, in radio, you live in the world where all car commercials are written with all caps in the scripts and big savings.
Big savings. Come on down to Jim Carter.
You sell a Toyota Camry the same way you sell all the other cars, and it's just this is a welcome change from that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you always sell to your listenership, so.
Yeah. What was it? There was a guy here in the Knoxville area, and he did a spot, and he did it so well that it looked more like a national spot than a local to this area spot, and they made him redo it. It's like he did it so professionally. It's like, that's too much of it. You need to pull it back a little bit and make it a little more local to here. It's like,
so then you end up with the two brothers, the two corny, hee-haw type brothers, probably like you get around my neck of the woods too.
Yeah, it's like, well, we got a car lot down here that they use one of their sales guys, and he's a fast talker, so it's like he'll say the name of the car company or the dealership, and he'll say it so fast he'll drop consonants, and it just sounds like a different word altogether. It's like if you're not looking at the screen, you don't know who in the world he's talking about. And it's like nails on a chalkboard. My apologies to you guys, but man, you need to call me, please.
Well, anyway, why don't we go ahead and move on? Who would like to go next?
I arrived late, though. I'll go next, if possible.
All right.
Okay.
Well, since nobody else peeked up, you're more than welcome to.
Coming through clear enough?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
I'm impressed.
This July. Sorry, I had to.
That was theatrical, yeah.
I'm sorry. The only reason why I brought that up is because it was the read, not bad, was sort of straddling the line between car commercial and horror movie announcement. And I only say that because I only say that
in theaters Friday, PG-13.
Because from what it seems like, so you look at Infiniti as a brand, and Infiniti is again like I mentioned a little bit earlier before, it's sort of like this middling brand. It's not quite a full-on luxury brand, but it's not really a like your Toyota or Ford or anything like that, not your production car. So it's almost straddling this line. The way that this was written to me comes off as almost instructional. And again, my read was actually fairly similar to yours, Xavier. So I don't know. I didn't mean to make fun of your read or anything like that. I just, for some reason, it kind of popped off like a little bit like a movie announcement to me.
Okay. So
just in the tone of voice, that's all.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
Now that was a really solid take.
That was
Yes.
Yeah, that was very
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anybody have anything they noticed in particular about that read or anything?
No, he actually evoked those images, and of like I said, the camera following the lines in the car, and all those shots that say, "Please drool over our car as you desire to go out and impulse buy it right now."
No, I really like how in the second read you gave it a little bit more emotional range and personality. That really, really made it a very, very nice read. My only one nitpicky little thing is, and this has happened with the past several reads, in fact, is when it comes to the "it fuels" lines, the series of lines. It fuels innovation, it fuels performance, and it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful. That little section. I think there's been a little bit too much emphasis on fuels, because since it's repeated 3 times, I don't think it really requires all the emphasis. The repeating is the emphasis on it.
Yeah.
The fact that the word fuels is being said more than once, right? There's really no reason to emphasize fuels constantly. It's not about fuels. It's about what
it feels, what follows. Yeah. So anytime, and this is ubiquitous with almost any script. Anytime you come across repeating words, those should be sublimated. Those should be just glanced over. They're just words, and the emphasis in those words comes from it being repeated.
Exactly. Right.
So that would be the only nitpicky thing. I would say just do everything else like you did it, but emphasize the other words around fuels.
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful, and it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
All right. You hit it just right. Although something weird happened with your microphone. Suddenly its gain just skyrocketed.
Right up in my ear.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I like it.
The performance was good. That was just a technical issue.
I think how does it sound now?
It sounds all right. It was just, it sounded really odd because it sounded like you were getting progressively closer to the microphone. I don't know. It was readjusted.
Right, I think I kind of was. All right. I kind of wanted, all right. Let me do one more.
Okay.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. the 340 horsepower FX from Infinity.
Yeah, that's the tank.
Yeah, so what I was working on there is interesting. The very first take I did, I really felt like I was working from the outside in, trying to push the mood, to sort of dress an emotion onto it. What helps me are certain adjectives. I went for authoritative storyteller, yet these sort of spec-driven directions are, it's tough to kind of create a character based on an adjective. It's, why am I telling the story? Why am I feeling authoritative? And so I guess my question is, with those last two takes, did they have what would be the adjectives that were included in terms of what I did for the last two takes? Like what spec adjectives did I satisfy? Was it authoritative? Was he a storyteller? Was he confident? What was going on?
So when you see the spec authoritative, what they're trying to communicate with something like that is that you're the brand representative. Like, you shouldn't be nervous to talk about the brand. You shouldn't be too nervous to talk about a car. That's what it sounds like, at least to me. That's what it comes off as meaning, is that you are the brand representative, and this is, this is what this is who you are. So, understanding that you represent the brand, that I believe, you hit when it comes to authoritative.
Yeah.
In this script, though, to me, again, you could have a different interpretation of it, but to me, this seems more almost educational. And the reason I say that is because, again, what we're trying to show here through the script is that Infinity is not just this. It's not just this middling brand. We're not stuck in between, identities. This is a luxury brand that you can afford, and here's why we're a luxury brand. So I believe the next spec that you would have hit there would be informative, which would be I believe that would be the generic term that casting directors would use.
I believe you're right.
So to get a lock on my approach, so I can take it into other things. For me, what I worked on for the last two reads was this is the new approach. My intention was to share, describe it. It's very prideful. I felt I felt confident.
Confidence a good word for it.
Knowledgeable, not pushed, warm, authoritative. This is like like me and the car are on the rooftop of the tallest building in the world, and I'm just like saying, me and this car, we're at the top of the world, and we've earned it to get here. Design is the. Can I try one more, please?
Yeah.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infinity the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infinity, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infinity.
Okay. So the specs that you were listing off earlier, some of them coincide and overlap. For instance, confident and authoritative. how could you be authoritative and not confident?
Yeah,
I mean, that would definitely be an interesting character to try to play. But I think in the realm of commercial specs, when you see authoritative, friendly but authoritative, what it means is don't talk down to the person, talk at them, but talk from a place where you know what's going on. So knowledgeable is included into that as well.
Right.
And I know you that was one of the specs that you listed in trying to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's also
prideful. Like, I feel good about this. We feel good about this. Is not arrogant. Isn't like, I'm better than you because I feel good about this.
Well, again, that could also be included into authoritative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you have authority over something, obviously, that's something that's important to you.
Yeah. And it laps over with the confidence thing, because there's this confidence that verges on feeling like arrogance, even when it's not. And it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, this is the thing, and at the same time, you're being inviting, you're welcoming people into this world where they can have this kind of luxury.
Oh boy. I hate to do this. Something came up. I have to go.
Great. How convenient.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to add before you go?
Well, again, like I've already mentioned, I just wanted to be clear about it. I think sometimes when you list off specs or when you read specs, they mean a lot more than what they're putting in there. I think they just have a certain amount of space that they can. The other thing is that it's also really subjective. Like, it's difficult to try to, when one person says authoritative, they have something in mind that could be completely different from what the actor's thinking. So, I understand that's one of the difficulties, but authoritative in general means things like knowledgeable, proud of your product, speaking directly with somebody, but, unwavering, confidence.
Unwavering confidence.
Those are the kinds of things that they mean when they say something like authoritative.
Got it.
It's usually a mishmash of things that they're trying to put together, although, it's impossible to describe the feel of somebody's voice, so they're just doing the best they can.
Got it.
But anyway, that's it. Thank you, everybody who's gone so far, and to everybody who will go, hope you have a lot of fun, and I leave you in the very highly capable hands of Nathan.
And we'll see you on the next one, Michael.
Yeah, see you on the next one.
Yeah, Nathan, the thing, you know what, I'm digging into this because, I'm not a big proponent of the whole be yourself cult in voiceover. Be yourself, and you. There are days I wake up and I don't really feel like any of the specs that are required here.
Yeah.
So it's
well, well, I understand that because an audition I did this last week, they were asking for something in the spec. I don't know if you caught this earlier, but they were asking for Al Bundy meets Peter Griffin, Really? And it was just kind of an odd mashup. And I'm going over this, and it's just the character just did not feel right. And what I ended up doing was dropping into an impression. And then at my wife's suggestion, I dialed the impression back to my natural tone, keeping the body language and the feel of that person I was doing the impression of, and got into the character that was asked for. And so it's like there is, I get to be yourself, and then the don't, but because I used to have somebody say that to me frequently when I started in at this, was just like, be yourself. It's like, but this is me. This is me doing the character that is in my head and coming from my heart here, and it's one of those things where it's like, the key word is acting. No matter what we're doing in this business, if it's a commercial, a promo, a PSA, we are acting.
Right.
You know,
And as I apply those acting techniques, you've helped me realize I don't have to walk away from the session feeling like I've been a liar or a traitor or that
mm-mm.
I've tricked anybody. That's such a weird doublespeak going on in the industry, and that this feeling of, well, yeah, you booked the job, but you weren't being yourself. It's like it's like shut the heck up.
Yeah, I booked a job because I was doing exactly the opposite of what you said.
Right.
I'm being all the Nathan I can be because I'm putting my heart and soul into this.
The acting choice gives you more access to yourself. And
the tagline that I use for my business is giving heart and soul to every word, and that's the whole thing right there. Is it's like, it's coming from my heart and my soul, and with me, I'm not a method actor. So I have this tendency to draw from things like, okay, I did this little thing, and decided to record it because it was just so funny. But I had done this thing the other day where it's like, I'm seeing King Kong's face. And I thought, well, you know what? I got a character that can go along with it because he looks like a child throwing a temper tantrum. And I pulled from that. And so I jumped in with one of my characters, and it's like all of a sudden Clara gets a babysitting job, and just played with it. It's like, had a little fun with a green screen while I was at it, but created something brand new from something old. But that was Nathan being Nathan, but I was acting.
Absolutely.
Tons of improv, but I was acting, doggone it. and that's the whole thing. It's just like, we're actors, and to quote Charlie Adler, actors act. It's what we're wired for, it's what we're gifted for, and it's why they hire us.
Right.
And
pulling from these things and pulling all these different elements, and that's these, when they give the celebrity specs, I look at, what does the celebrity mean to me? How, if that celebrity had my vocal cords instead of theirs,
yeah,
what would happen? And then I'm getting to their emotional life. I've studied method, and I'm a little bit of method, and I'm a little bit of a lot of things. So it's depending on how accessible something is to me at the time. If it speaks to me, like today, I was trying to, that Keith David sort of, when I listen to Keith David, he's always threatening somebody in a movie. He's always like, I'm gonna da da da. It's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
With his commercial work, it's very design is the we probably don't have time for me to do another because somebody else has to go, but he's more grittier, and then Mike Rowe would be much more informative and every guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like what I did my read earlier. I did, I'm saying, Chris Pine, Maurice LaMarche, but me, I pulled into it my just warm and friendly guy next door, and just kind of went with the flow of how the words were working. And so you get a little bit of that emotional styling, but at the same time, I'm giving my authentic me, and it's beautiful that we use these great big fancy words, but at the same time, I was acting, but I was using my signature tone on top, layered on top of that, just like Michael was doing that. He was carrying on that smooth tone, but he was using his natural personal gravel for it, and I think in a way that's probably what they're trying to say when they say be yourself. They just don't know how to word it right, because in this industry, we get so many fluffy words that get wrapped around acting,
Exactly. What's that about?
Yeah, it's evocative. It's this, and so it's like, I'm just a friendly guy. I'm, and the baseline is guy next door. I do that when I do my promo reads. You can listen to my read at 4:00 in the afternoon, or just before 4:00 in the afternoon during the minute 30 break segment. You can hear me doing my guy next door read, explaining why we put educational informational ID up,
Right.
and I pretty much use the same read for the FCC spot.
Exactly.
It's a little more technical, but at the same time, it's like, I'm trying to make us as a whole approachable, and that's the big thing right there, and
Yes.
I am, that's what I'm wired for, is I'm capable of giving that kind of read,
Indeed. And it helps
and
to
I,
get out of the pattern. It creates a good pattern break too if stuck in trying to accomplish it and it's just not going anywhere based on
yeah,
how they're being directed. Just go for something that worked on another spot, but then just gear it a little bit toward, be that character geared toward what
yeah,
needs to be accomplished in a situation like this. It might be more smile. It might be just more of a laid back self-assuredness.
yeah.
Could be a lot of things. Yeah.
On the thing I did the other day, I was in here throwing the body language into it, and so I was backing up the character that I was creating with the body language of what I had done during the impression. I did that last week with one of my reads. I threw Donald Trump's body language behind my own personal tone, and it created a brand new thing and a brand new style that actually made the spot work.
Wow. Wow. How about that?
So it's all in how you work it. It's just like, well, like I said, it's acting. It's just, and it covers a whole lot of ground that we really don't have a lot of time for, but it does cover a lot of ground.
Oh, yeah.
And so on that note, speaking of acting, we have a couple actors that have not gone. So Rochelle, and is Tyler still here?
He left. He had to go.
Okay. Well, then it's Rochelle.
Yeah, I got this. Da-da.
There you go. Confidence.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti. I'm sorry. That was bad.
Nope. No apologies.
That was bad.
You train yourself to not say I'm sorry.
Okay.
Unless it's actually called for.
I feel like that was called for, though, because I feel like that was bad, and I could do better.
No, self-direction is one thing, but self-criticism is another. And in this business, self-criticism can really mess with your bookings. So, yeah, and not to mention how many takes you do on a spot,
I've had a horrible get in my
you had a terrific tone with this, all right? You need to slow it down just a shade, but your tone was just right.
Okay.
And you were making this spot work for you, so
yeah, okay.
just dial back the speed a little bit. Remember,
Okay. Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
that was better. It kind of picked up the pace a little bit as you got to those last three lines. You want to throw maybe just, some pause between objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative.
Okay.
You see the pace I took with that? So, I mean, it's good. Your tone's right. You just, keep that pacing, dialed back a little bit, and watch the car commercial in your head.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because you're describing the imagery that most of these people are going to be seeing on the screen. They're showing a car slowly driving down an albeit empty city street in LA somewhere, which probably is not likely, but car commercials, they're so pretend. But they're pretending you have a good traffic day down there. So it's one of those. They're slowly driving. The lights going across. The camera's panning across the lines in the car. And it's form follows function, follows no one. You just keep it at that pace. That just I probably over syruped it right there, but you know what I'm saying. Just slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
Just breathe through it and go.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infiniti the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infiniti, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower from FX. Nope. From Infiniti.
Just reread that last line.
The 340 horsepower FX from Infiniti.
There you go. Yeah, you just take a pickup on the last line and you go with it.
Sorry, okay.
Well, what anyone think? Everyone think? Hello? Because I thought it was pretty good. Instead of take a pickup on that last line.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good.
You got your pacing right. You got your time right. The big thing is, and I run into this myself, I have a tendency, like on that first read, it's just like my head is going out ahead of my mouth and my mouth is trying to catch up. And suddenly I'm reading it faster than I should be, because it's like, oh man, I've got to get this in under 30 seconds. I got to, and you can relax your way through it and still get it in under time, if that's the first thing that your head is thinking.
This is one of these that's very well written, but probably agency copy. And they know they can normally nail it right at 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And they leave enough time for that copy to breathe in some places.
Yeah. At the same time, being that this is a car commercial, either they're throwing that super fine print that you really can't read on a high definition screen at the bottom.
No disclaimers in this one.
Or they got the guy that does the disclaimer, at the end, they just tack him on. And this is so you're doing the first little bit of that, and then of course you've got the that other guy that they have completely sped up after he's read the all that other stuff. It all depends on how they package it, and sometimes they'll slice the spot down and make it even shorter. Now it depends on how they cut it up, but at the same time, anyway, off the technical side of it.
Yeah, this one doesn't have. It doesn't appear to have. It's just strictly an individual car. It doesn't give pricing. Doesn't give any of that kind of stuff. So they might be able to avoid the disclaimer on this one.
Yeah. You just get that at your local Ford dealer or Xfinity, Infinity dealer. I'm on Comcast here, so I get Xfinity in my face all day long.
All day with Xfinity.
Okay. But that was a very good take. It was a healthy take. you know. And the whole thing is just to and when you feel the adrenaline rush coming on, use it to your advantage. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just use it to your advantage. I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. So usually when I feel that adrenaline rush coming on, it's like instead of trying to calm it down, I just kind of ignore it, but use that extra energy.
Yeah.
No. And of course, I walk out of here feeling like I've had a cup of coffee. So it's like for some reason I feel more energetic when I get done performing. It's riding on that wave of adrenaline while I'm in here. So with that,
Perhaps try an older sound.
an older sound.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. Add 10 years to the character.
Okay, I gotta stop saying I gotta stop sounding 4. I'm sorry every time I sound 4. I don't mean to.
That's okay, I understand.
I'm not trying to sound 4. Every time I come up, I sound like I'm trying to ask you for $40. Hey, sugar daddy. But I'm not trying to.
Design is the new luxury. It's what makes Infinity the most progressive car company in the world. It has the power to transform the functional into the emotional. It fuels innovation. It fuels performance. And it fuels us to create objects that are as powerful and beautiful as they are provocative. At Infinity, form follows function, follows no one. The 340 horsepower FX from Infinity. Like that?
Yeah. More than likely, that would probably be the exactly the way they would want you to do the spot.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you get a spot like this. Of course, all us guys, the first thing we want to do is get way down here and talk as low as we can get.
You told us not to
And-
go into that at the beginning.
Well,
didn't
yeah,
you?
specifically for the men. Okay.
Like you didn't. I didn't think you wanted a sexy role. Like I would turn sexy and make you want to.
A female read's going to pull it a little bit differently, and well, like for myself, okay, I didn't attempt to get below, my normal range. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep it here in my normal tenor range, and then go from there, and just follow the emotional feel of the piece of copy to tell the story. But see, for you, aging it up like that, as was suggested, excellent suggestion, it actually worked in your favor, because one, it helped you to slow it down just a little bit more and adjust your pacing, and it adjusted your thinking as you were going into the read, and it had the right feel for it. Okay, but just
how a direction or a slight adjective shift or intention can totally transform a read and bring out something totally else.
It really can. It can change it up completely. Well, like I said, my wife offered me a suggestion the other day and said, okay, why don't you try this one impression that you do of this one guy? And I did it, altered it ever so slightly, and there it is. I've layered in something, created a brand new character that had never existed before, but just off of that one suggestion. And it made it work. And doggone it, I should book that thing. But that's, that's really how it works. I mean, you just, the director says, dial it back, you dial it back, and then all of a sudden you've got something and you've actually given them what they want, without racking your brains going, oh God, how do I give them what they want? we are the creatives that actually make it happen. And we you know, and it goes back to you're an actor. Act, you know, act in the style that you're wired to act in, you know, and then use those directions to refine it and to shape it into what it needs to be. I mean, honestly, it's literally like working with any kind of medium. You know, we're painting a picture in here, you know, and we're painting a picture in this case of a well-designed vehicle that somebody's going to want to drive, you know, and we are helping this car company to sell the daylights out of these things. You know, unlike what the car salesman's going to do with it when they get to the dealership, where it's going to be like, pardon me, can I interest you in a car? Let me interest you in a car. Yeah, and I'm not kidding. There's a guy out down here at the dealership, sounds like Peter Falk. It's awesome. He's got the personality of Columbo and sounds like Peter Falk, and he's trying to sell my wife and I a car. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm pulling a Lake Bell from In a World and recording his voice. Like, this is priceless. I can use this.
When you turn around and walk away after the deal has fallen through again, does he stop you and go, just one more question?
Actually, he did. I'm like, I'm trying not to bust out laughing, and I'm like whispering around, oh my God, this guy is Peter Falk. The only thing he didn't do was the whole thing where he puts his hand on his forehead. All right, let me try to interest you in it. You don't want this car. Why don't you want this car? Where were you on Thursday night? It's like, I'm like, my God. And I'm really working on my Peter Falk, by the way. I actually got some direction on how to do an impression of him by someone who was a friend of his. So, I mean, but hey, this has been awesome, guys. And for everybody watching on YouTube, like we said earlier, leave us some comments, you know, your thoughts and what you thought of this whole thing. And hey, join us. We are here every Saturday, with the exception of holidays, and we can pack this thing out. We got room for a lot of people in here. So come on down, join us, and don't forget to subscribe. Go to voiceartistunited.com and sign on and become a member. We are a awesome, huge organization, but we are here for you. Our members are important to us. So with that, we'll catch you on the next mic check. Bye.